Mongols invading our home. They are brutal, relentless, unstoppable. We are 80 samurai against an army, fighting to slow the invasion. Today, I die for my people.
There must be thousands of them. We will face death and defend our home. Tradition, courage, honor. They are what make us. We are the warriors of Tsushima. We are samurai!
The islanders of Tsushima noticed them first, dark figures cutting across the Pacific horizon one evening in 1274. Local governor Shosuke Kuni knows what is coming. He rallies 80 mounted samurai and leads them through the mountains towards the beach. The invasion fleet lurched forward. The samurai looked outnumbered. 6 years ago, the Mongol ruler Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan, sent a letter to Japan's Kamakura government. Immutable people in far-off lands have learned to fear our power and have longed for our virtuous rule. Moreover, the sages consider the entire universe one family. Therefore, if we should not establish friendly relations with each other, how could it be in accordance with the doctrine of one family? Who would care to appeal to arms? It's seemingly an offer to peacefully submit to Kublai Khan and become subject of the Mongols. Yet, to reject this proposal is to fleet with an apocalypse, a holocaust. The sublime cities of Islamic world, the opulent kingdoms of Russia, and the mighty domain of Imperial China have been defiled, burned, and gutted. Millions of men, women, and children were butchered by the Mongols. For unknown reasons, Kublai Khan has decided that Japan should now bend the knee to his empire. Japan's government responded by ignoring this letter. Shosuke Kuni is the first to suffer the consequences. At dawn, 1,000 Mongols charged the beach. Samurai are masters of the blade, but they are first and foremost horse archers. The Japanese fight in small, disparate bands of samurai warriors and their followers. They prefer to pick off individual targets at range. This initially works against the Mongols, and Tsushima's defenders cuts down many of the oncoming invaders. But Mongol tactics are foreign and overwhelming. Mongol domination has come to the backs of battle-worn nomads trained in horse archery since childhood. They launch synchronized charges in units, raining mass volumes of arrows down on clumps of enemies. When the exhausted enemy head began to thin, they charge the gaps and look to finish the battle with axes and swords. Here, the samurai's mastery of both grappling on horseback and unmounted sword warfare becomes crucial. In the melee, one samurai shattered his sword and a shower of Mongols' arrows killed him. The defenders of Tsushima are outnumbered. The bodies of Sesekuni and his followers are left on the beach, and by midday, the Mongol invasion of Tsushima is unstoppable. Local buildings are burned and inhabitants slaughtered. The Mongols do the same to the island of Iki before advancing towards the mainland. A fleet comes into view and drop anchor, revealing the Mongol flair for psychological warfare. Their bows are adorned with female Icelanders dangling from a rope strung through their palms. An onslaught of Mongol horse archers charge the beach to the tune of signals from gongs and drums. They launch ear-splitting gunpowder bombs, sending Japanese horses staggering backwards. Then they swing hooks and other weapons to rip the Japanese from their mounts. The Mongols generally navigate the battlefield wearing versatile light armor and carry personal shields, while the more heavily armored samurai only use shield as stationary protective walls for their archers. The samurai are relentless sharpshooters. Their counterattacks force some of the Mongols to retreat and regroup. One samurai, Takezaki Tsunanga, is eager to make a name for himself. Japanese warriors are compensated by the shogunate government only when they can offer proof of their own exceptional deeds. Proof which often takes the form of eyewitness accounts or enemy heads. Tsunagan has tracked retreating Mongols to an encampment. One of his followers wants him not to charge, to wait for reinforcement, but Tsunagan answers, the way of the bow and arrow is to do what is worthy of reward. Charge. Mongols left fly a volume of arrows, wounding Tsunagan and his 3 retainers. Tsunagan presses on until an arrow drills into his horse, and he's thrown to the ground helpless. Suddenly, a charge of reinforcement storms forward, saving his life. The Mongol counterattack is brutal. The Japanese scatter and retreat inland while the invaders lay waste to many of the homes and shrines along the coast, and then they leave. There appears to have been a storm prior to their departure. Some accounts claim it wrecked much of the Mongols' fleet, while others claim it was simply a fortuitous wind that gave the demoralized allies' Mongol fleet the opportunity to sail back to Korea. The Mongols may have realized they lacked the manpower to occupy southern Japan. Whatever the case, the Mongols are gone, but Japan, it's now time to grieve and rebuild. It's the following year that Mongol emissaries arrive in Japan, reiterating Kublai Khan's request to submit to Mongols' rule. Hojo Tokumyo, the de facto ruler of Japan, has been beheaded. Later emissaries suffer the same fate. Tokumyo knows that Mongols won't forget this. He constructs 12 miles of high stone walls of the coast of Japan. Another vital part of Japanese defense is prayer. The emperor, still an important religious figure in Japan, orders shrines to pray for peace and curse the Mongols. Yet the Mongols' empire only grows in power. They have crossed the last of China's southern Song dynasty, absorbed its mighty navy, and constructed a massive new fleet. In the years since the invasion, Kublai Khan has had time to orchestrate the downfall of Japan. In 1281, the Mongol fleet arrived in Tsushima. Defending samurai are crushed. Villagers run to the mountains, but the Mongols follow the cries of fleeting children and hunt them down. They again occupy Iki and attack the mainland, but this time, the guarded coastal walls prevent the Mongols from establishing a position on land. The Mongol fleet is forced to float ominously in the bay, planning inland raids. The samurai sense vulnerability. They take sandbars and small boats out to the Mongol ship, clamber aboard and fight. One called the Kawano Michihari takes 5 followers and bound over chopping seas in 2 small boats. As they near a Mongol vessel, an enemy archer kills his uncle. 2 more arrows carve into Michihari's shoulder and left arm as he climbs aboard. He ignores the wounds. Unhasty his sword, kills a large Mongol and captures an officer. Takezaki Tsunanga is also eager to join the fray. He squeezes onto an ongoing Japanese boat, storms a Mongol ship and attacks the crew. The Mongols are bleeding supplies, but in midsummer, the momentum seems to shift. The massive southern fleet from the newly conquered southern China reaches Japan. The invading army is now 3 times as large as it was in the previous invasion. A tight battle at Takashima Island forces a Japanese retreat. Then the skies blacken, sails flutter, waves swell. The typhoon overtake the bay, devouring hundreds of Mongol ships. Soldiers are thrown overboard. Vessels are dashed against the rocks. The surviving Mongol ships cut anchor and abandon the invasion. The next day, thousands of Mongols, dead and alive, wash up on Japanese beaches and float by on driftwood. One strangler, Chang, has been stranded on an island for 3 days without food. He and other survivors plan to cut down trees, build ships and sail home, but they are captured by Japanese surveying the area. Uninterested in forgiveness, the Japanese execute every Mongol, Korean and northern Chinese they find. They view the southern Chinese as old allies of Japan, only recently forced under Mongol control. They spared the lives of the newly submitted, saying that they are the people of the Tang dynasty and made them slaves instead. Ai Chang was one of them. The invasion is over. Takezaki Tsunanga, now in his mid-30s, will have his exploits documented in scrolls and will present testimonies and Mongols' heads to receive rewards from the government. Samurai like Kawano Michihari will now be honored as heroes. Kublai Khan and the Mongol Empire had famously laid claim to the entire universe, yet for the final time, they have tried and failed to claim Japan. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell.